Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Bob. It does drop a little. Why did we let that happen? Good Lord. And I assume you're going to represent all the big shots like Baldwin and all the artists. They're all going to get recognized here. I mean, I don't need to go down. Okay, because I think I recognize some of them. And let me just say a word about Rocco Landesman. You have not been, even though we've had wonderful heads of the NEA, you have not been privileged to have as strong a leadership ever as Rocco Landesman has provided for the National Endowment for the Arts. Now, if I went down the list of some of those that have done an extraordinary job, I'd miss somebody, and we've gone through tough times. But the vision, the work ethic, the insight into the importance of the arts in our culture and particularly our economy, is something that Rocco has been able to communicate, particularly to the members of Congress and the administration. And it's probably supposed to be a secret, but I think a major reason why both NEA and NEH were boosted up in the president's budget is because of Rocco's personal intercession. So you ought to know that, because he's working for you. Now, I appreciate the fact that you all have your priorities in order. And don't you, Dorothy? You always have. You know that the objective of preserving funding for the arts across America is worth your while. And you've put forth the effort. You've come to Washington. You're going to spend a lot of time today, but you do throughout the year promoting the arts, and you understand why. I am sorry that one of our greatest champions, Louise Slaughter, is not here. She really wanted to be. Bob has used the idea of breaking her leg more than enough, so I won't try to be funny about it. She broke her femur walking to, she was walking to a Women in Leadership event in New York. So she's recovering at a hometown hospital, but she's a tough lady, and she's not going to be off her feet for long. She would be very pleased to see such an energetic crowd, and I'll let her know that you missed her. And John Yarmouth, too, is going to let her know. John was up there on the floor fighting for more funding for NEA and NEH when we were being attacked, and it's great to see you, John. He's been so consistent in that area. But your enthusiasm is infectious, as it needs to be, because you represent arts and artists. I'm from Massachusetts originally, so when I say art and artists and so on, I have to really, I struggle with that R. But you represent art, I got off track. You represent arts and art, excuse me, they're going to bring some water in a moment, I know. You represent arts and artists who depend upon the NEA and the NEH, thank you, sir, for the opportunities to show the world what they are capable of creating. It's unfortunate that we have to do battle every year to preserve federal funding for the arts. It shouldn't have to be that way. But you made the real difference last year. You were the reason we were able to restore deep cuts that conservatives in the House of Representatives had attempted to make. Because you know that adequate funding means a world of difference for the hundreds of arts institutions and the tens of thousands of individuals who benefit from those federal dollars that you helped to preserve. The President's new budget proposes $154,255,000 for the National Endowment for the Arts. It's an $8 million increase over the current year's budget. But it amounts to less than 0.03% of all non-military discretionary spending. I know that if you had your way, and if I had my way, we would be investing much more in the cultural lives of our citizens and in our children's futures. For example, if we just allowed an adjustment in inflation for $1992, the president would be requesting $282 million. Think about that. If we had just gone along funding in the normal way that everything is increased by the rate of inflation, it would be $282 million. So we are surviving with a substantial reduction in resources. So don't be shy about at least pushing for the $155 million. Every member of Congress should be aware that it should really be at least $282 million, and that's just for consistent funding without normal increases for new initiatives. But in today's fiscal climate, and given the current makeup of the U.S. House of Representatives, the best we may be able to do is to hold on to what we've got. You could eliminate all federal funding for the arts tomorrow, as some in Congress have proposed, and the budget deficit wouldn't budge. But the absence of that 0.03% in discretionary spending would impoverish us all. The arts will survive without federal funds, but great performances, exhibits, and productions would be shared with far fewer audiences across America. And more struggling artists would never get the break they need to get started. The arts that the federal government funds are not profit-making opportunities. There aren't any private equity or hedge fund managers waiting to pounce on any big payoff profitable opportunities out there. Not in the arts. In most cases, if we can't come up with funding, the artistic creativity that NEA can give life to will be stillborn. The transformative power of that art will have been diminished. I trust you've all heard by now the story of Denise Graves, who grew up less than 5 miles from the Kennedy Center Opera House. But she lived a world apart, never had access to it. Were it not for an NEA grant that enabled her to hear her first opera, we would not be blessed today with her stellar performances before sold-out crowds every place she performs. That's what the NEA is all about. So, my friends, the arts are truly the embodiment of who we are and what we value. Without federal funding, the diffusion of this understanding and insight and empathy with the others among us will suffer. The expression of our humanity, of the grace and beauty of ballet and dance, the clarity of good theater, the connections to the better angels of our human nature, will all suffer the fate of an empty soul. We can't let this nation suffer the fate of the uninspired and the unenlightened. So support the arts and let everyone know why you do and why they should as well. I thank you for all you do each day to promote the arts and for being here this day to inspire all of us. Thank you.